Hello everyone. So yesterday as I irrigated my lawn, I noticed that I had a pool of water right here. A lot of water, and I wasted so much water. So I had to find out what it is that was happening. So I came close and I discovered a broken pipe. This is a broken underground pipe. I don't know what caused this, but it's something that's making me lose a lot of water, and so the water bill has been spiking high. So I'm going to show you how to clear this mess and fix it without literally buying a lot of stuff. You just need very few readily available supplies and equipment at home, and I'll show you, with one of them being this small hole right here. This is the menace we're gonna be dealing with today. So I just turned on the water and I'm gonna move away because it's gonna shoot. It wastes a lot of water. So this dripping is what we're gonna be stopping today. I'll show you how to fix it. So the pump is just about to kick in. There it is. So you can imagine losing all this water in your bucket. So I'm gonna turn off the water and I'll show you how to fix that. That's for my little sprinklers in the compound. So we are now going to fix this perforation, and I have very simple tools. I have a PVC pipe and a coupling. The coupling, I'll actually pull out the coupling because this is pretty small. You use the PVC pipe if you have a bigger and elongated crack right here, but ours is just like a small perforation, a small hole. So I'm gonna use just the PVC coupling, or rather a connector. I have a sandpaper. This is number 100, so I can rub off any dirt from the PVC pipe. I have the PVC glue. This is regular clear PVC cement. This is what I'm gonna be using to make sure that the PVC coupling adheres very strongly to the pipe that I have right here. I also have a Gigli saw. Back in the days when we used to do neurosurgery, this is what we used to cut the scalp with, like you hold and you cut. It can also be used as a PVC connector. The other alternatives that you'd want to use are a hacksaw or just a PVC cutter, but I'm going to be using a Gigli saw. These are wire. So what we're going to do right now is dig up this area to expose the pipe and make sure that we have enough room to work on. So you want to make sure that you're doing this carefully so you don't cause more damage to the pipe. So you gently do this and take off the sand. If you have obstructions like these roots, you can cut them off just to make sure you have enough room for work. As at now, we have enough room. So now I'm going to do the assessment. Before anything you ever do, always make an assessment. Do an assessment to see. So mine's just a perforation right here and another one beneath. So I'm gonna wipe the dirt off this to make sure that I expose the bad area that I want to fix. You save a lot of money doing this, and so this is usually either a 1/2 inch or 2-inch PVC pipe. So you use a PVC cutter, hacksaw, or Gigli saw, as I told you. So in this case, I'm gonna open up the Gigli saw and then slice through the PVC pipe. This is only because the perforation is small. Had it been a big one, I'd have taken the entire length of PVC pipe and cut the whole piece and connected it just as is here, right here. But in this case, I'm only gonna be using a coupling. In that other case, I'd actually use a piece of PVC pipe and 2 couplings to connect. So right now I'm gonna go right ahead, open up the Gigli saw and then cut through this pipe. So, I miss neurosurgery. This is what we used to do. So I'm gonna gently cut off this area and I'm gonna cut through the pipe. Make sure you're gentle enough. Sometimes it gets stuck. So there it is. There we go. So we have a split right here. And what I want to do now is make sure that the coupling I have actually fits in here. And yeah, this is a good fit. I'm gonna make sure I compare. It's a good fit, so that means it doesn't fit in, it doesn't work. So I'm gonna take a bigger one. It doesn't have to flash right that way. It should not flash. If you use a PVC coupling by itself, it should not flash. You pick a bigger one, slide it in, so you now have enough room to apply this on either side and make sure that it fits. Actually, we now have to take the PVC connector, the PVC coupling connector, and make sure you pick the one that flashes so you can sand off and make sure it fits in so well. You don't want to have a bigger one that will just go in through. So you sand the smaller one that you have. Make sure it's wide enough to go right over the other pipe. And oh shoot, we have a challenge. These couplings don't fit exactly as should. The pipe that was used here initially is not the standard water pipe, so we now have to start thinking of a modification. You don't want this too big, neither do you want it to flash. So I'm gonna using a sandpaper is gonna be a lot of work. So let me see. I'm gonna use a drill. If you check on my past video, I showed you how to use the drill. So I'm gonna use the drill with a sanding rock right here. I'm gonna make sure that I eat around the pipe to smoothen it and make it smaller. Note that it gets easier if you're using the standard size pipe. Let's see whether it fits. Oh, bummer. This is gonna be a big problem. So I have an idea. This is what I'm gonna do. I have two sized pipes, and so what I'm gonna do is pick the smaller pipe and let it slide in here. Yeah, I'm gonna let it slide in here, then cut right here and make sure that I lift and insert the other one here. Let's see whether this works. Otherwise, with everything you just have to be innovative. Let's see how this goes. So I'm gonna pick a piece of cloth. So we have to go back to the drawing board. I'm gonna pick a piece of cloth, clean right in here, get the mud out. Oh, this is one of the most difficult YouTube videos I've made. Let's see how this goes. I have to make sure I clean this up before sanding it. I clean it from inside. I thought this small coupling would have actually just slid on top of this, but too bad. Doesn't work that way. Let's see how this goes. So I'm gonna clean inside this pipe and also clean inside the other pipe right here to make sure all the dirt comes off. If you mess this up, you have to go the expensive route and involve a plumber to replace the entire pipe. So you have to be very keen. And let's see how our video goes. So I'm gonna pick the sandpaper and sand it from inside here. sand it from inside here to make sure that I smoothen the edges, the inner part of the pipe. And this is to make sure that the adhesive and pipe hold onto each other. And yeah, this feels smooth now. I'm just gonna use my finger to wipe off any dirt and do the same on the other side. After all that's done, you could use a wet piece of cloth to make sure you just wipe off any dirt there is, and then use the dry part of the cloth to wipe off the water and let it dry. So after it's dried out, just cover it, and then now we go back to the drawing board and get this PVC pipe cleaned, because it's now the one that's going in there. Look at this and measure the distance that you want to be covered, and place a small mark right there to know where you're gonna split it from. So I'm gonna use my drill. I want that length, so I'm gonna slide it inside both sides to make sure that I have enough length for the adhesive to work. So we go back to the drawing board and use the Gigli saw to cut this off. This is so tough. So I'll make sure that I use the Gigli saw to cut it off. Make sure you don't break the Gigli saw. They tend to break easily when you don't use the right tactic. And you have to be really fast using these. There you go. Now we go. We go and prep this pipe. Now, since this one looks a little bit tough, we're not going to use just the sandpaper. I'm going to use the sanding stone and my drill to clear these tough fragments. That's why I told you to always have your tools ready with you. This drill was used in one of the videos to show you how important some of these tools are when you have them in your car. A link to that video is going to be attached to this video. So these are multi-purpose tools, and it's very important. You can use this to open up the wheels of your car. So now, since this is now good enough, I'll sand the outside part of it to make sure that the surface that's left is the rough edge for it to adhere pretty well. Make sure that I only leave the rough edge. Oh yeah, this works. I'll make sure that I only leave rough edges on the outside part of the PVC pipe that we're gonna be using. So yeah, this feels rough. You just wanna make sure that you have a good surface to adhere. Yeah, feels pretty good. So let's see. Now, since we had already prepped this and this is already well sanded, this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna use this piece of cloth to wipe off any dirt there could be. And I'll do this one step at a time. I'll pick my regular cleaning PVC glue and then now prep the area by applying the glue inside of the bigger pipe there is here. So I want to make sure that I have just enough. And remember, don't use fast setting PVC glue. That's going to mess up your work. Make sure it's a slow setting one. Apply from the inside of the pipe. Apply it deep enough to make sure that the pipe goes in. And do the same on the piece of PVC pipe, but on the outside, to make sure that it goes and adheres inside there so well. I'll take this back and then slide it in a clockwise and anti-clockwise motion let it sit there for about 15 seconds. You could press this. Now, since this is something that we hadn't anticipated, we're gonna do some extraordinary things right today just to make sure that this works. Now, this has already set, so what I'm gonna do is take this down, and now you work on the other end of this PVC pipe and make sure that it has enough PVC glue to hold the fragment and the segment that we have actually innovated and created. Create room for that, and also apply these on top on this other side to make sure that it slides all the way in. I'm gonna show you what we're gonna do today to make sure that this works. So close these up, we no longer need it, and then now lift both pipes. This is what the importance of having created enough room for us to work on the space means. So this slides right inside. You have to make it work. Let it sit. So since this is something we didn't expect, we're gonna let it sit and then use some other kind of innovation. This is the extraordinary stuff we hadn't planned for that we're gonna be doing. I'll use the silicone, and then make sure that it goes around this area and covers any gaps that there could be, that water could seep through. Sometimes what you plan for is not what you get, so you have to just be innovative to make sure you use other methods. So I'm gonna use the silicone gun and the silicone itself to make sure that I get enough of this, and then now use my finger to make sure that all these parts around the fixed area work. It has to work regardless. It's something we didn't expect, we didn't anticipate, but regardless, do it yourself with Bill. We'll show you how everything has to work. We just have to make it work. So the silicone seals any part that you could have left. This works so well. You don't need a plumber for some of these things. That being done, we give it time to set and dry up. So we give it about 10 to 15 minutes. It's gonna be dry. We have silicone applied on top of the crevice where we actually made the slit and cut using the Gigli. So lastly, I'm now gonna clean this area around when it dries up, and I'll show you the third important part that we are going to make sure that we seal the deal with. So we let it sit for now. And at the end of this video, I'm going to show you the items I used, and you'll find the links to all these items in the description of the video. So you'll see the drill that I have, the sanding stone, silicone and silicone gun, and you're also going to see the other equipment I used, and of course anything else that I've not mentioned that we have used in this video. Now that it's dried and set already, we are now going to use something that I showed you in the previous video that I showed you. I told you I'm going to link onto this video. This is it, and this is the insulating tape. I know this is not used for this, but it works wonders. What I'm going to do is use the insulating tape, take it round, cover the area with silicone that has silicone with it. Make sure it's tight enough. And in this case, you're gonna let it sit here for about a couple, like 2 hours. Then it's gonna be ready for use. Remember, some of these things that we do here just save us money, but then you get the same exact kind of results you'd get if you called a plumber. So we've spent almost nothing because we had the exact kind of expertise and tools. And the good thing about these tools is that once you use them, you can always use them in something different in a later video or in a later context. So yeah, that's it. We have fixed the nuisance that we had. No water is gonna pass through these 3 buffers. Remember, we had PVC glue, we had silicone inside, and now we have an insulating tape. So I'll place a piece of rock underneath just to support. And now we're gonna be burying this in a moment, but first we do the testing. We make sure that the water is not leaking anymore, and we're gonna refer to that as a successful job. Let's see whether our innovations worked. So we're gonna bury this inside here because I'm very sure that it's worked. We are gonna bury it and then only leave a small space to confirm success of our job. So when I turn on the water, we're gonna see how it unfolds. We're only gonna bury it partially. So now that we've waited for about I waited about 4 hours, we are gonna be turning on the sprinklers and making sure that there's no leakage of any water. No water should pass those 3 barriers. So I'm gonna turn on the sprinklers and see how it goes. So the sprinklers have already kicked in, as you can see right there. And guess what? Nothing is leaking here. No water is leaking. So work successfully done. And we can see that everything is now complete. So join me for more YouTube videos. Let's learn how to fix the next thing with Do It Yourself with Bill. The sprinklers are on. This one as well. And nothing is flowing from here. So remember to like the video, comment, subscribe, and share the video with your loved ones. See you in the next one.